How did she avoid the pitfalls of child stardom? Would she be down for a Mean Girls 2? Let's dive deep into everything about Lacey Chabert. Lacey Chabert was born in Purvis, Mississippi, where she spent nearly a decade before moving to pursue show business. Chabert's family lived next door to her grandmother, with whom she was very close. They were so tight-knit that she even carries around her grandma's watch in her purse. Chabert told Southern Living, "One of my favorite childhood memories is baking with my grandmother in her kitchen. She was one of my very best friends and my biggest cheerleader, so her passing was heartbreaking. But I love that I have those memories with her of cooking in her kitchen." Chabert now lives in California, and most of her family now lives in Texas, but they also share a very strong connection with Louisiana. Chabert's father is Cajun and from Louisiana originally, which appears to have had lasting effects on her family's traditions. Chabert shared, "There are a lot of differences in the food and culture between Texas and Louisiana, but at the same time, I feel like, especially around the holidays, there's such a focus on family and being with the ones you love, whether that's friends or family. I think those are definitely the same in both places." Chabert is incredibly close with her family and was shattered her older sister Wendy died in 2022. Lacey Chabert started working on Party of Five at age 11, and she spent the majority of her teenage years playing Claudia Salinger. By the time she finished, she was nearly an adult, which means that she saw a lot of her teenage milestones in the Party of Five timeframe. She said on Strahan and Sarah,
"Everything a young lady could go through happened to me during that show, and I loved it, all the things."
This included having her first kiss and getting her first bra, both for storylines she had to film as Claudia. In a 1998 interview with Five magazine, Chabert detailed the awkwardness of smooching in front of roughly 100 people. She said, "It was my first kiss. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. So my sisters told me to practice on a pillow, But it didn't kiss me back, so I didn't know what to expect. But it was good practice, I guess." Lacey Chabert originated the voice of Meg on Family Guy, and there have been lots of rumors over the years about why exactly she left after the first season. Mila Kunis, who replaced Chabert, suggested in a Vanity Fair video that it was because Chabert disliked the raunchy content. However, Chabert has told GameSpy in 2006 that it was because she was too busy with her schoolwork and Party of Five, also adding, "I think the show is hilarious." Apparently, creator Seth MacFarlane didn't even know why she left. He told UGO.com, "We never really quite understood what went down there. It was some kind of contractual mix-up. She had not meant to commit to an extended number of seasons." But don't let her Family Guy debacle confuse you, because Chabert is a wildly popular voice actor. She has served as the voice of Eliza Thornberry on The Wild Thornberrys and as the voice of Casey in the Bratz television series, TV movie, and video games. Chabert has also voiced characters on Young Justice, Shimmer and Shine, Rugrats Go Wild, and Transformers Rescue Bots. She has similarly done voice acting in many straight-to-video titles and for popular video games, from Sonic the Hedgehog to Star Wars The Old Republic. She told Entertainment Weekly in 2014, "I like that in voice acting, you can play different characters than you can when you're on camera, and you're limited by your physical being." Mean Girls is one of those movies that defined a generation, and it has truly become a classic. The film came out in 2004, but has stood the test of time. Lacey Chabert was one of the main stars of the film, appearing as gossipy Gretchen Wieners, heir to the toaster strudel empire. On numerous occasions, she has said that she would be up for reprising her role in a sequel, though the closest we have gotten to a sequel is a Zoom reunion during the pandemic, hosted by Katie Couric. Chabert told Access shortly after the reunion, "Of course, I'd love to revisit that character, but for now, catching up on the Zoom was awesome." And even though there is no Mean Girls 2 in the pipeline, Chabert has spent time thinking about where Gretchen would be today. Chabert said in a Forbes interview, "Oh, she's running the toaster strudel empire, obviously. I think that she and Jason worked it out, they got married, they were each other's high school loves, and they have lots of little babies." She shared a similar desire for reprising the character when ET asked, telling the outlet, "Gretchen was one of the most fun characters I've ever played. I would love to see what she's doing now." For those who remember Lacey Chabert primarily from Party of Five, it might be hard to believe, but the actor is now in her 40s. In her 30s, Chabert both married and became a parent. While she is quite private about her love life, Chabert did make a social media announcement shortly after marrying David Neddar in December 2013. They had their daughter, Julia Mimi Bella Neddar, in September 2016. Chabert posted on Instagram a week after her birth, "Julia, you are my heart's deepest dream come true. I love you more than I could ever say. Welcome to this big, beautiful world, sweet girl." Chabert has been candid about the stresses of being a working mother in Hollywood. For instance, she admitted on Instagram to struggling when she could not be in town for her daughter's first ever day of school. In general, however, Chabert schedules life around her daughter and sees motherhood as her first job. She told Tinseltown Mom, "When they say the juggle is real, I feel it. She is my #1 priority, and she is the light of my life, and I just couldn't love her more, but I try and balance it all. And some days are easier than others, but I've learned to really ask for help and support, and my husband is wonderful in providing that. And I have a great group of friends and family who also help." Lacey Chabert just may be the queen or co-queen with Candace Cameron Bure of Hallmark. Chabert has appeared in some 30 Hallmark original films, and that number can be expected to keep climbing since she signed a big deal with Crown Media Family Networks, which owns Hallmark, in February 2022. Not only has Chabert been doing Hallmark movies for over a decade, but she typically films 4 to 5 each year. Her specialty is the Christmas movie genre, but she has appeared in everything from All of My Heart, about a woman who falls for the co-owner of a house she inherits, to Love on Safari, which is about exactly what it sounds like. Chabert is also the star of the popular crossword mysteries movies, and was one of the headliners for the channel's The Weddingdale trilogy. Executive Vice President of Programming Lisa Hamilton Daly said in a statement, "Lacey's warmth, talent, relatability, and creative sensibilities have endeared her to millions of Hallmark viewers for more than 10 years, making her one of our most in-demand stars. Some celebrities might not love being primarily associated with fluffy TV movies, but we genuinely believe Lacey Chabert when she says that she is proud of the work she has done for Hallmark." She told Forbes, "I think the thing that has become the most rewarding for me and being a part of these movies is when I meet people, the common thread is always, thanks for doing something that's uplifting. At this point, I kind of consider it an honor to be a part of bringing some goodness into the world." Hallmark's Christmas movies alone reach up to 80 million people during the holiday season, so it is not surprising that Chabert gets a lot of love from fans wherever she goes. Key to Chabert feeling good about her work with Hallmark is that the content is very family-friendly and suitable for all ages. She explained to Tinseltown Mom, "It has become growingly important to me to be a part of stuff that my daughter can also watch. I'm an actress, and I want to play all types of different characters and different types of stories, but I'm really proud of the fact that all of the work that I've done with Hallmark is something that my little girl can also enjoy."
So fetch.
Many of us might get sick of the holiday cheer, especially if we had to film these Christmas movies in the summer and fall. Luckily for Chabert, she is a massive fan of the holiday and finds tremendous joy in the films. So too do fans, as the Hallmark Channel is generally #1 with females ages 18 to 49 and 25 to 54 in November and December. For Chabert, it is easy to get into the Christmas spirit, as she is obsessed with the holiday, according to an interview she did with Southern Living. She said, "I like to draw it out as long as possible, so it makes sense that I would enjoy making these movies. You would think I would be tired of Christmas, but no." Chabert has been an executive producer on 15 of her Hallmark films, including 5 of the 6 The Crossword Mystery installments and all 3 films in the Weddingdale series. One perk to having power on set is that Chabert has been able to sneak pieces of her own life into multiple films.
I like a good luck charm, and in all of the movies, I always try to put something personal of mine in the movie.
In the Weddingdale series, that meant having her grandparents' wedding photo placed in her character Avery Morrison's apartment.
Sometimes people notice, sometimes they don't, but I know it's there.
In another instance, Chabert said that she wore her own wedding dress in a film shortly after marrying, though she did not disclose in which film she wore it, and she's had far too many TV weddings for us to try and guess. In January 2022, The Sun ran an article with the headline "Curse of the Child Actor." Shia LaBeouf, Lindsay Lohan, and Demi Lovato were cited as examples of child stars whose lives went off the rails at one point or another. While we would not go so far as to call it a full-blown curse, it is hard to argue that there has not been an issue with many kid actors having struggles once they reach their teenage years. Some have died far too young, like Brad Renfro and River Phoenix, while others like Drew Barrymore, Jason Bateman, and Mackenzie Phillips had many years of instability but eventually turned their lives around. But some people have been able to transition from childhood to adulthood without heading down a problematic path, and Lacey Chabert is one example. She rose to fame before she even hit puberty, but she has remained level-headed, humble, and out of the Hollywood party scene. She has credited this to her family and friends, and in particular, her parents. She told Fox 411 in 2013, "Looking back now as an adult, I'm incredibly grateful that my parents were so protective and did their best to always put my well-being above any career decision. Navigating the transition from child actor to an adult actor isn't easy. The judgment, criticism, and rejection you face as an actor can be overwhelming."